Good night, everyone, everybody that is listening to me, this moment or later. I promise to speak a little bit today about Dune, and I will do so, even though I will not speak about Denis Villeneuve's new version, not today, not tonight. I will do it later. Nor will I speak about the version of 1984 version of David Lynch, which I really like. And I will not speak about the novel, the Frank Herbert's original novel, which is considered a masterpiece, and I also, of course, appreciate the novel and can discuss it a bit. But not today. Today I will discuss Dune, the new Dune, the state of Israel, the land of Israel, the land that will become Dune. It's not far from it already. The Zionist project was mainly occupied in violence and piracy and torture and genocide. But it will be just like Dune. The Kinneret will die. People like me will be able to walk on water because there will be no water in the Sea of Galilee. So yes, we will walk on the Sea of Galilee because it will be empty of water. The aquifers will be empty of water. The place will be a wasteland. And yes, there will be worms. They are not going to be big as the ones that you've seen in the movies, but they will be in their own way terrifying, and they are already here. They are here and here and here, and many of them are here. They are already here. The worms of Dune are already here in Israel, ready to take their place, and they will take their place. These creatures, I don't know how big they can become. I have no idea. I've just seen them born. I've seen them go to something like that. So I don't know how big they can get. But at any size, whether they are just 2 centimeters or maybe, even when they are still in the microscopic spec scale, at any size, they are immune to soap, to alcohol, 70% alcohol, to iodine solution, 10% iodine solution, to hydrogen peroxide, 3%, to a long list of substances that are commonly used by humans to kill germs and small animals. They swim inside this material. That's a fact. Moreover, they were born inside this material. The material that I just mentioned, that I just listed, are perfect environment for them to be born in, when they have other, of course, necessary material and light and possibly electricity, but electricity is not needed. Just light is needed, and of course, seed. But other than that, the material that I listed, they are all excellent environment for them to actually be born in. And they swim inside industrial oil and other industrial material and liquids. The only thing that was positively shown to actually kill them is turpentine, a material that is not only toxic but also corrosive. These creatures are not science fiction and not like a vague prophecy. They are already here. I have already created them. They are already in this apartment in several cans and boxes. They are here. You don't need a microscope to watch them. To watch the movie, you don't need a microscope. You can watch them with your bare eyes. They are here. They will be the inhabitants of the historic land of Israel. It will be a wasteland, because the sins of the people that allegedly came to this country throughout a long, more than century, and commit unimaginable crimes. I've spoken about these crimes a lot in the past 3 or 4 years, but I will speak a little bit more now because it is that important. So I will repeat a little bit, but I will speak as always. Almost like 99% of the time I speak just from the heart. I mean, without, as you know, I do not plan ahead. I just speak whatever I have on my heart, and this is, or on my mind, and this is what I will do now. I decided not to speak. No, it wasn't a joke. Of course, I have this. I mean, I do have like a legit criticism of Dune, the several Dune adaptation and the novel itself, and even moreover, I think I can generalize it to, and you know that I'm interested in literary criticism, film criticism, and culture criticism, and so I have things to say about it. It's not, it wasn't a joke, something like that, but I don't feel like it. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after. Today, I mean, this moment, it's probably, I mean, you can speculate that it's probably as a result of the video chat that I had with my daughters. Almost every time that I have a video chat with them, which is, I mean, I try almost every day, but I mean, sometimes, I mean, it doesn't work out, so it's about once every 2 days or 3 days, but most of the time once, I mean, every other day, something like that. Almost always after this, I mean, of course, I mean, I do it with all my heart. I mean, it's, I mean, that's the only way for me to communicate with them. I'm not allowed to see my daughters. So I do it with all my heart, but it keeps me very sad after that. It breaks my heart to listen to my daughters tell me, I mean, ask me, why can't we see you for months now, and cry, and they cry today, and it leaves me without, after such a, I mean, a video chat as I had today, and I had many of those, that to see my little girl, Ila, she's first grade, just, I mean, 6.5 years old. She now, I mean, she tried to understand what's going on, because, I mean, no one really tells her, even I cannot tell her the truth, and not even something remotely, like, I mean, close to it. So she just, I mean, she's in the dark, and she just tried to, I mean, to come with theories about what's really going on, and from time to time she just changes the theory, because she wants to understand what's happening. Why she's not allowed to see her father? Her father, she since she remembered herself, she was almost half the time with her father in his house, in his home, and he raised her, and she doesn't understand how come for months now she cannot see her father. So now I mean, her latest theory now is that, I mean, for some reason she cannot come here to this apartment where I live now, in the apartment of my mother, her grandmother, and that we have to move, which is true, that we need to have a new apartment, to rent apartment, and that for that reason I cannot see her. I mean, it's obviously not true, but that's what she thought. So she always today asked me, why can't we move? Why can't I? So I told her the truth. I mean, the best truth that I can tell her. I told her that I'm working. I apparently that day that I'm working on robots, and I've showed her, I mean, some of the several nanobots, not today, but I mean several times. I mean, using the microscope I mean, using the best that I could, using, of course, the video chat. And I told her, these are nanobots, and your father is working on it, and there are ways that to harness this technological advancement, of course, in her own language. I didn't say it like that, but there's a way to make a lot of money out of it, and I'm working on it. So we will have money, and I will be able to rent. She has, like, I mean, she lives in Shoam, where, I mean, the only place that she actually remember, and where I rented the apartment for 4 years, and she missed the apartment. I moved because I ran out of money this September. No more money, because I mean, I cannot find a job in Israel, because the Shabak do everything that they can, so I will not be able to work, even though I have an excellent job, an excellent record, and excellent academic record, and record in the industry, and in the military, and where not. Record is a very good, perhaps not the top level, not excellent, but very, very good software engineer. Software engineers are always in demand in Israel. I could have made a lot of money, but the government wants me to be the whore of the Shabak. So money was, I didn't have no more money. So I moved to this place, to Rishon LeZion, to my mother's apartment. Of course, since then, there were more, I mean, development. Actually, now it's my prison. I'm under arrest here. But initially, the reason is that I just didn't have money, and it's still the reason. I mean, even if tomorrow, not tomorrow, like in 3 weeks, so in the next hearing, the arrest will be cancelled or over, I will still live here because I have no money. So I told her the truth. I'm working on having, very hard on a very important technological advancement that we will have money. And she's seen like an advertisement of a large, duplex home in near her school in Shoam. And she's really like, it's like a fantasy of her that we will live there. I will live there. And when the time she's with me, after time, as she was raised and as she expected to be, why not? She thought maybe we can live there because it's like it's probably a nice apartment or duplex, like 2-family house with many rooms. So I told her, yes, we will live there. We will rent this apartment. She's devastated by the fact that she lost the advertisement. She actually saved like the copy of it's a municipal newspaper, a very unimportant municipal newspaper that and she got so attached to the advertisement. And it doesn't need to be a genius to understand that. For her, this signifies, this advertisement signifies like, getting back to normal, like to be with her father. Her father will have an apartment, like a very nice one. From the advertisement, it means also she knows that it's in a neighborhood that is close to her school, so she will be able to even perhaps walk to school. She told me about it. She built, she's 6-year-old. She built the whole story of us. Me going back to Shoam and renting this apartment, and she in very nice one. She always told me, there are many rooms. There will be room for me and Orin, me and my sister, and a room for you, and another room for you to paint because you know that I paint, and there will be another room for storage and another room for like to play things or things like that. She had already allocated the rooms, and she just wants to be with her father again. But no, it's the only, it was taken from her after a lifetime of war with the government. Do not be mistaken for a second. It's not a conflict between me and my ex-wife. I have nothing in my heart against my ex-wife because she, like me, belonged to a race that is enslaved in Israel. She cannot do what I do. She cannot fight them back for a variety of reasons. And the main reason is the fact that we are not really belong to the same race as many people thought throughout the years. Because actually I belong to a third race that is currently not well known even by the intelligence agencies of this world. But why it doesn't really matter. I'm saying it for a long time now, and I've actually supplied you with ample positivistic empirical evidence, like in the last 6 weeks. So it's not something that is debatable. It's as it's as clear as you can. As the difference between day and night. There are different kinds of humans on the face of the earth, not only Homo sapiens. There is another one, I call them the Titans. They probably came from Venus. But there is also another race, which is my race. I call us the sons of God. And it's not only a metaphor. I actually identify with Jesus. In many ways. Even more than, with the way that I identify with him being the Son of God and having like a different nature and him suffering for his truth. I think I've spoken about it in the past. I really identify with the way of the prophet, which Jesus, of course, is not only an example of prophets, but also, according to Christian theology, many of the prophets were prefigured. The Old Testament prophets were in a way prefigurations of Jesus. That means that they had like message and they suffered for the message in a way that is similar to the way that Jesus I mean, later, Jesus Christ later, have done the same in his life. So I identify with prophets because for many reasons that I've spoken about it in the past. Let's get back just a second to my daughter. So she has it. I mean, when she's tired, like today, I mean, she starts to cry because she doesn't know where the advertisement. I mean, she lost the paper. I told her, I mean, it's just an advertisement. You can find another one, maybe. But she told me how. I mean, I lost the paper. I told her, I mean, you can find. I mean, tomorrow you will go with your mother, search for another newspaper like that. It's just a municipal newspaper, and advertisements are always, I mean, repeat themselves. So you will find it. Of course, it's not just a symbol for her. She wants for things to be back as they always did. But no, I cannot see my daughter as a punishment. Punishment, not that didn't come from my ex-wife. Don't be mistaken. She's controlled by the government. My ability to fight back stems for many reasons. First of all, siyata dishmaya, the help of God. And second, I do not suffer from the same limitations that these people suffer from. First of all, I have no chip in my mind. I'm no huge Kochler device. I do not belong to any intelligence agency. The Titans, they are all part of the Israeli intelligence agencies here in Israel because, I mean, their life is a secret and they are controlled by the Shabak. There might be I don't know, possibly some kind of perhaps rational explanation. Of course, it's not. I mean, it's cruelty beyond imagination. It's only. I mean, it paves the way to more and more cruelties. But maybe they tell. I don't know, whoever wants to listen to the lies, the Israeli lies, that they did it because. I mean, did you hear the neighbor coughing in incredibly comical way? I speak about it just in a bit. But I mean, their sexuality is controlled. Probably, I mean, because of the excuse that the females, and they are only females because the males were killed by the Israelis long ago. Perhaps not all of them, but many of them. And there weren't many to begin with. But the females are controlled, possibly with the explanation for them, so they will not have sex with Homo sapiens males because this is probably have some bad results. This explanation does not apply to me because I have I have had sex with both Homo sapiens women and Titan women, and I have no problem with that. Anyway, of course, this is, perhaps just a rationalization. The issue is that the reality is that they are all slaves. They cannot fight the government. And there is another reason for them not be able, and they cannot. People like my ex-wife cannot fight the government for another reason. They have a lot of psychological conditioning that I don't know really how it actually works, and I suspect a lot of it is just a mythology, and it's just reinforced by more and more violence. But see, I mean, all their life they are subjected to psychological terror that I came to understand, to learn that this is the main tool of the Shabak. I mean, that's what most of them do all the time. They just use this psychological tool. One of them is this thing that I've already spoken about. That's the way that I can identify all of them. Like wherever I go, I can identify who belongs to the Shabak, because close to 100% of them will wait until I look at them, and then when they are sure that I watch them, they will in very pronounced way you'll do this, because they are suspected to have a debilitating psychological effect on me. Why do they want to have to do it to me? Just because they think they can. It's cruel and it's stupid and it's idiotic, because even if I don't know, maybe sometimes in the past it worked. Supposedly it works subconsciously. It affects you subconsciously, so I couldn't even remember the time when it worked. But even if it worked sometimes, after every one of them is doing it, it loses its efficacy if at any time it had an efficacy. Currently it's only effect for a long time, for years now, it's for me to actually understand who belongs to the Shabak and to watch them. And for me, it's the way to learn a ton of stuff about them, because when you identify who belongs to the Shabak, who are the people, it's like it's a huge step in understanding a lot of what they do and what's their motives. And then you sing and you see me, I mean, you watch me, you hear me, some of you for a long time now, and you see that I know a lot of stuff. How did I learn it from? I mean, I've spoken about how I learned it. I mean, many of my methods are clear because I demonstrated how I learned stuff, and I also know that I'm wrong many times. So this is one of the ways that, I mean, it's of course when you add it to many other inputs that you have. I mean, they are idiots and cruel and barbaric. But these psychological tools like this thing or the coughing, I mean, the pronounced coughing that you just heard, which they do all day all long to us, to the enslaved race, it probably works. I mean, it probably works. And of course it works when it is accompanied, and it's always accompanied with all sort of violent methods, like, I mean, electricity and sound attacks and all sort of horrible stuff that, and you are subjected to all your life, and you have no privacy at all. You are watched all the time, and there are tons of ways for them to actually control us. So I have immunity to many of those things, and it's possible it is because of my nature, because I'm not exactly, I'm not Homo sapiens, and I'm not a Titan. So maybe they don't have, they don't know how to do it to us, or maybe they can't. And it's also a possibility that, I mean, I've suffered so much, I mean, throughout the years, that maybe I'm just like you, like the Titans. I mean, maybe I am by nature, I mean, prone to be vulnerable to this kind of psychological attack. But because I suffered so many of them for so long, maybe they just lost their efficacy. For some of the things I know for certain that, I mean, they lost their efficacy. For example, electrical and magnetism effects that, I mean, I was subject to, I mean, in my car, when I had a car, like for years. And this is actually something that, I mean, I came to realize that I watched myself, and I knew when they are doing it to me, and I suffered it immensely. And actually, I mean, I witnessed by myself how it's not something psychological, it's something physiological, but I witnessed myself how I became much, I mean, not immune, but much less vulnerable to this, just by suffering. So some stuff, I mean, just the sheer amount of suffering that I had, I mean, made me immune to some of the attacks. But these people, the Titans, are not immune. And on top of that, they're typically, it's not a free market economy in Israel. Everything is controlled by the government from behind the curtains. So, I mean, if they want, like, livelihood, if they want to be able to feed their children, they must obey. And there are many ways that your neighbors are typically, I mean, part of like a gan, what they call a garden, which means people of the Shabbat, that in many ways they can make your life a living hell. And something like that happened actually here in this balcony. As you know, during, I mean, months of August and September, October, I spent a lot of many nights here, working on my art, which is the only vocation that I can actually do. So I worked, and the neighbors always, I mean, launch their attack, both their like physical attack using the sockets, I mean, the electrical sockets, and sound attacks, which is a horrible thing. And you cannot prove it, but it's a horrible thing. And also psychological attacks, like a coughing and all sorts of like no noses you hear, or they have all sorts of psychological effects. Most of them I think that I'm immune to, but maybe I'm not totally immune. I mean, supposedly it works in the subconscious level. And yes, it did. I mean the way that I'm poor, I mean, it's actually, I mean, the simplest thing, but I mean, it's probably what had the most effect on me. I was poor, and I'm still poor, and I'm humiliated. And I, like you, or like any other living creature, I don't like being humiliated. I don't like to feel like that I'm the scum of the earth. I do not know why I should be like humiliated, or should feel less adequate than any other like human being. I mean, you hear me, you see me. Am I like? If you bite me, I'm not bitten. If you pinch me, I'm not pinched. If you throw like a bucket of ice at me, am I not like getting cold? If you treat me like a dog, am I not like humiliated? Yes, I'm humiliated, and I have ego. I mean, not like Israelis that, I mean, totally controlled by ego, but I have a healthy ego, like, and I don't want to feel humiliated, and I don't think that I'm like less smart or less educated than any other person in the Shabak or all the scumbags that surround me. And this is a huge understatement, because all of you that listen to me, you know the reality on the matter. So yes, my mental state was a little bit deteriorated, and I have tweeted something that I shouldn't have tweeted, even though I never said, and even though I've never said that I'm going to. I've never said that I'm going to do anything bad to my ex-wife, and I never meant to say it, and I never said it because it's not true. I wish her only the best because of many reasons. And there is one big reason that I will elaborate, but no, I don't know if it's not directly belong to the subject of this video. But the way that she actually married me, and she had 2 children with me. And most Titans, they didn't even think about it, Titan women. Not that they are not attracted, because they were not attracted to me. Actually, many were actually attracted to me. And not because I was a bad person, or, I had like good education, good, even money, and back in the day I had much more money than today. They didn't want any relationship with me, Titans, throughout the years, even though they have it should be mentioned that they don't have other options besides vibrator. So I'm a male that, could have been like, their counterpart, and, they didn't want anything to do with me, even though, I can have sex with them. I'm like straight. I'm attracted to women, and I'm generally a good person, and family oriented, and like a conservative, which is something that many women actually like, especially if they intend to start a family. And most of all, they were attracted to me. Not all of them, and not to the same extent, but it's not that I was like ugly or something like that. But they believed their Israeli lords, their Israeli slave masters. They told them for years on years that I am a pedophile and homosexual and criminal and maybe even murderer, and that I like to torture and all sorts of amazingly disgusting things that have no basis on reality at all. But they choose to believe it. And some of it is on them. It's not the fact that they choose to believe them is not just just stupidity or lack of good judgment, because it stands on flaws of character. Because people with character will just prefer to open their eyes and see the person and see that that if some of it was true, it should have been like something that is known in the public, or something that that carries some kind of evidence that police can use. And the fact that it never had any like real evidence, only evidence like that is evidence from the point of view of intelligence agencies, which mean complete fabrication. This fact alone should have convinced everyone that it's just a lie. And they spoke with me. They know that I'm a good person, and the distance between reality and between the image that the Shabak and the Mossad drew of me is so large that I think that anyone who chose to believe it, and it's not only true with regards to Titans in Israel, it's true even more so regarding intelligence services all over the world, that they chose to believe it. They chose to believe it partly because part of the blame is on them. Not only, of course, the big blame is on the Israelis, but part of the blame is on them because they chose to believe these irrational things because they have flaw of characters, and they have ego problems, and they have all sorts of like other problems that are sins actually. Because a good person would not have believed it. It's not just about intelligence or stupidity or naivety. A good person would not have believed those lies. And in my ex-wives, she didn't believe it. Otherwise, do you think that she would have married me? No. She married me and she had 2 children with me because she didn't believe it. And she didn't believe it not because she's that smart. Actually, she's far from being the smartest woman that I've ever met. I married her not because she's that smart. I was very attracted to her, and I say it plain simple. I'm attracted to a woman with she was like blonde, and she had big breasts, and I was attracted to her, and I found I like to be with her, and I found that she's really serious, which is not something that is obvious. Like, I mean, she's family oriented, and she's like in her own way. She's also conservative, not the way that I do exactly, but in a very similar way. She's also conservative, and she's a serious woman. And yeah, I mean, yes, we married, and we had a daughter. And right after that, it was planned. It wasn't like a mistake. And just after that, another daughter. So yes, she was serious, and my calculation were correct from this regard. But she's not especially intelligent. She's not stupid, but I met women far more intelligent than her. The reason that she did not believe the lies was not her intelligence or wisdom, but it comes from a good heart. Because a good person would not believe those lies. And that's a fact. That's a fact. Perhaps on another time I will elaborate more on this issue. The reason, let's leave Inbal, my ex-wife, on the side. I will just say that I was subjected to torture here in this balcony. Many of it was documented because I've tweeted many videos during this time. And yes, I tweeted something that was a mistake, even though I never said anything that police, or the attorney, like the public, that the attorney now, the police attorney now, claims that, that I never said any, it's recorded, it's not, the evidence is right there. It's the only thing that can actually be debatable is in the issues of interpretation and translation for people that do not, speak Hebrew. But it's actually even less, it's actually even milder in translation. In translation, it's actually even less, like, you can even find less like malicious intent in it, even if you want to, because there was no malicious intent in it. But yes, I was mistaken. Again, this mistake should not have carried with it a never-ending arrest, as you see now. It's months now that my liberty was taken from me for no reason at all, and it shouldn't have. And of course that it's not a reason to take my daughters from me, because you should think about the child, the children, the daughters, they want their father. What's got to do with all the stupidity that you think that I published on Twitter? But I should be said it, and again, and I was subjected to psychological terror and physiological terror in this balcony. And this is some of the reason that I had bad judgment, even though it was only slightly bad judgment. And of course, even if the thing that I said, came without any pressure from this garden, Shabbat garden, even, if I would say, even if I would have said it like with clear mind and without any pressure, still, I shouldn't be arrested for, especially not for so long, and it shouldn't affect the way that I raise my daughters. But this all belongs to the ways that the government, the country, the land, the Shabak is torturing me for a long, long time. They want me to be their slave. They want me to have sex only with people that they actually, that is in their interests, because they are interested in me having sex with their slaves in specific occasions, and it must always be in the most horrible way, and so I will be humiliated. And also, it should be in a way that, if they want, they can always say that, I raped them or something like that, so they will have this X on me. And this is important for them, so they will have leverage on me, so the homosexuals can rape me. They never did. But, oh boy, how many times they tried. And many of those tries were actually filmed by me, and many records exist in the Evernote, account and Gmail account. Throughout the 4 years that I lived in Shoam, so many people actually came to my home, knocking on the door or shouting from the balcony that they wanted to rape me. And these people were all affiliated with the Shabak. Many of them were actually cops or people that worked for the government. And this was filmed, much of it, a lot of it. This was the terror that I was subjected to for 4 years in Shoam. And they always thought that it's their right to rape me. And if I were, and I understood more than like even before I came to Shoam, or perhaps just as short after that, I cannot have a sexual relationship or romantic relationship with any woman because I understood that they will use it against me to have this sword on me. So in any time, because all those women were, of course, titans that, they're slaves of the Shabak. So even if the fact that I theoretically had sex with them actually helped them a lot, or not only in the way that it was fun for them, but actually helped their health, and it does help my health because of the Neros help. The nanobots that you've seen with your own eyes many times, they have goods. They have beneficial effect on the health of the titans. They have also some kind of effect on humans, on Homo sapiens, which I do not exactly understand what's the effect, but I know that it's sinister because they shouldn't eat it and like consume it. But it's not the issue. It's a subject of this video. But the fact that it's potentially helped those titans, doesn't mean that those titans will not go to the police to say that I raped them just because they're pedophile master, or perhaps they're titan masters, because there are also titans in the Shabak in operator like professions. But it doesn't matter because Israel, because the state of Israel told them to go to the police, and I understood it. So no sexual, no sex for me for like several good years now, and it's not something that I can see happening in Israel in any horizon. But they wanted to have this sword on me, so they will be able to rape me and they tried many times. And this is a documented fact. And now I'm here in my mother's apartment, and the people, the neighbors, subjected me to terrifying mental abuse. So I will be, so the police can like frame me with something ridiculous that I haven't done in order to take my daughters for me, because that's the only thing that they still had, my daughters. They took my job from me, they took my money, took everything. They took everything. And any one of you that's actually, listen to me, it could be for years, or could be for like even just, on the YouTube stage for the last couple of months or weeks. If you have any brain, you can understand very well that I'm not an idiot, and I'm far from being uneducated, and far from being unskilled, and far from being lazy, that I worked hard all my life, and I studied hard all my life. This is something that I don't need to show you the credentials, because, Nikarim divrei emet, as they said in Hebrew. Sometimes, the truthful words are evident by the words themselves. Because if I were lazy or stupid or uneducated, how is it possible for me to speak the way I speak to you in the last couple of weeks? Or not only weeks, years, but even if you just joined like the conversation from the time that the YouTube that I started speaking, I just started uploading videos to YouTube. By the way, the fact that I started to use YouTube is that I am not allowed by court of law, there is a court order that forbids me from actually, publishing any kind of words, or any kind of post in any, as the law of the, according to the words of the order, the court order, for in any social network. So no, I'm not allowed to use Facebook or Twitter, or so according to my interpretation, YouTube is not a social network. I don't know. I think that it's important enough that I will upload the videos that I uploaded during the last 5 weeks, and you will be the judge of that, whoever you are. I think that it was incredibly important for mankind at large. So for this important alone, we can actually, even only tentatively or temporarily, say that YouTube is not a social network. So it's legal for me to upload videos, but I cannot use other social networks. I need to shut up, and this is not coincidental. The people of Israel, the government, the regime, they want me to shut up. I am not allowed to speak. They hate me when I speak. I am a subhuman creature, and subhumans, slaves, are not allowed to speak. Slaves, traditionally, in many cultures in the history of this earth, slave, were subjected to the punishment of cutting their tongues, or sometimes they did it, just as a standard procedure for all slaves, they cut their tongues, so they will not be able to speak. Because speech is the privilege of the master race. So no, I'm arrested for months now without any justification, so I will not be able to speak. So I will not be able to demonstrate in front of embassies, something that I've done in the last year. So I'll be here all the time in this apartment, which is, part of like a Shabbat garden. So it means that I'm subjected to torture, physiological and mental torture from the neighbors. I have no privacy at all. I'm watched all the time by the government, by the Shabak. That is a fact. And also I cannot upload things to social networks, so people will not be able to hear me. So I decided, okay, YouTube is not a social network. And that's why I'm uploading videos to YouTube in the last 5 weeks or 6 weeks. But before that, it's 3 or 4 years now that I upload videos and like messages and I speak, and it should be said that even before that I was not a shy person. I spoke. You can understand it from the way that I speak that I have a little bit of experience in speaking in front of people, like in classes or in public. I don't have any shyness of like public shyness or something like that. I really like speaking in front of people, and whether it's like in a lecture or just with a group of friends. I don't have any friends anymore. But once I had friends, I was a normative person for a lot of time. This I thought that I am. It wasn't really true, but it was a kind of illusion. Partly it was a sweet illusion to be a normal person. The purpose for this torture, the way that the government tortured me, is ultimately because it's part of a program of a genocide. They want the Titans, and they thought, up until now, but they don't really care. Their science is based on what they want to reality to be. As I said, they are pirates. They imagine that there is food on the table, and from their point of view, the imagination is enough for the food to be actually exist on the table. So from their point of view, it's best that our race, the Titan race, would be, completely dead. Besides the women that should be their slaves. And they shouldn't have no sex life at all, because they are married to pedophiles and they don't want them to have sex life. They want them to be subjected to their pedophile masters, husbands, and homosexual masters and husbands. That's just a fact. And they only want, limited amount of like new children to be born, and this should be selected by medical steps that only girls will be born, so they will have more slaves in the future, because they have problem to continue the slave race as they done on Venus, as they've done in the past. So they want more slaves, but only girl slaves. They don't want males. They don't want this headache of what to do with males. So they control it using artificial insemination, that only girls will be born. So they will have new class of slaves to be married to the pedophiles and homosexuals in the intelligence community. That is a fact. Another fact is that God exists. And if you don't want to believe in God, call him this flying spaghetti monster, call him alien, call him the predator, call him whatever you want, call him the Martian from H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, or the Vulcans, or the Romulans, or the Klingons, or the Cardassians from Star Trek, or whatever bizarre race that you can think of from Star Wars. Maybe you can, it's better for you to imagine God as one of those. I think it's stupid, because God is God. You know exactly who is God. He created this world, and he is exactly what you think, what you know that he is. But it's not even the point. The point is that there is an immense powerful entity that watches, and she has had enough. This entity has had enough. The genocide will be stopped. The perpetrators will die until the last one. There will be no living soul on the historical land of Israel. But it will not end with that. The many cooperators all over the world will be punished, and there are many cooperators. This video is already too long, so I will not speak I intend to speak a little bit about an issue that I spoke about a lot in the past. I will also, which is the cooperators around the world. I will just, instead I will just reiterate, I will speak again about an issue that I've spoken about many times, and it was actually one of the first things that I've written about it since 2019, when I started to write about these issues. When I started to understand like the special place of that I'm not a regular person and that I'm part of a big conspiracy. So I will mention it again. One of the first things that I understood, it was during the year 2019. It happened when I worked in a place it's called My Heritage. In the first half of the year, one of the things that I understood, it was actually plain to me. It was one of the first things that actually, that it was understood that they break the paradigm of my life. That they necessitate the fact that I will rearrange my thought about my place in this world. But it was very clear to me that I am subjected to many tests. That I'm tested by amorphic, like powerful entities that do not show themselves. I'm tested, and that the interests or the agenda of the Israelis, like the people where I work or where I train, or all other places, but especially where I work, that they think that the interest is for me to fail this test and to be painted in a bad way. And this is, and I understood that it's something that that is constantly happening, and it's one of the first things that was very clear to me, because it's had so many factual things to back it up. And I understood very quickly, and I've written about it, that there is only one constellation for this bizarre happening to be possible. And the constellation is the fact that for some reason, which does not stem from things that I do, because there was nothing peculiar about anything that I've ever done. I was totally normative person. So there was a reason that stems from my nature, but not from my action, but from my nature. There is a strong reason regarding my nature. My nature is not something that is normal. I'm not a regular Homo sapiens. I understood it. And I understood that for that reason, intelligence agencies around the world, but especially in Israel, they follow me. And I understood that the only constellation that could explain the many evidence of this testing was that the people who conducted tests are the Israeli intelligence, that they know me the best. And it's almost obvious, but I've written about it, but it's almost obvious that they know me the best, and that many people of the Israeli intelligence actually surround me all my life, especially in the workplace. And that they conduct a test, but they want me to fail, they want me to be painted in a very bad way. And that the alleged, the watchers, the audience for these tests are other intelligence agencies, specifically the American agency, but also probably the British one and other strong agencies. They are the audience, and that they are cruel, because they should know that these tests are cruel, and they should know that the Israelis are painting me in a bad way, because it's impossible. And I understood very quickly to understand how can I be painted so badly when I know that I'm such a normative person. I was normative all my life. I was like the most straight person that you have ever met in many different interpretations of the word straight. In all of the ways that you can interpret the word straight, I was the straightest man that you've ever met. And my life was so plain simple. I like John. Good. Like Jewish Orthodox religious high school, very good. Like bagut. Final exam in high school exams, excellent ones actually. Excellent psychometrics tests and excellent education. All around the place. Very good. I served in the military. In very good. In intelligence, as part of the intelligence corps, in things that are strongly connected to the Israeli space program, the satellite space program, and so it's a very high, it's considered high quality kind of military service, and I specialized in computer programming, which is my profession until this day. And I was an officer, and I served close to 6 years. And after that, I studied in the Hebrew University in the most and very prestigious bachelor degree. I mean, one of the most prestigious we actually have in Israel. Everything was so, and I had normal friends, from really. I was never connected to any kind of crimes or subversive organizations. I got married, I had children, I was divorced, but I fought for the custody, and everything was so normal about me all the time that I understood very quickly that the people in the intelligence community around the world that actually are buying the lies of the Israelis, and I understood that there must be some kind of people that actually buy it, because otherwise, why do they continue? Why do the Israelis continue these ridiculous tests, and why do they keep painting in such a bad way? I understood that it can only be explained by the fact that many of the people those people, like in the United States and in the United Kingdom, they actually want me to be this horrible person that the Israeli tried to paint me, because they have their own reason why they wanted to be that way. And of course, this was only the beginning of my journey, but I wrote about it very quickly. Because these things, everything that I just said regarding the test and the audience and the Israeli intelligence, it was very clear because it had many demonstrable, tangible facts that supported it. And of course, I had no idea what's special about my nature. I didn't it took me time to understand the issue with the Venusians and the homosexuals and the pedophiles, and later I understood a very important thing that actually I'm not the first kind of messenger that the Israeli had, and that is kind of at least the second time that they actually encounter me, not including Jesus, which I do not shy away from speaking that I'm kind of refiguration of Jesus. But no, there was another one right here in Israel. Probably he was born during the 1950s, and probably his ministry was during the late 70s or early 80s. There are many indications for that. And I don't know anything about it, but I do know that he was just like me. And they also painted him very bad. And I quickly understood that they were punished, not only in Israel, but especially in Israel. And I understood that part of the punishment was something physical regarding their sexual life or penises or something like that, or fertility. And I understood that they hate me. Part of the reason that they hate me is because of that punishment. That they see me as someone to take revenge for this punishment that, happened before I was even born. And no one ever told me, to this day, never spoke to me about it, and I'm not related to everything that happened, but they saw me as, in a way, a refiguration of this messenger, not of, perhaps also of Jesus Christ, but more specifically of the person that actually, who was here, had a message he was a prophet that existed here in Israel, and I don't know what happened to him, but I do know for certain that his ministry was ended in the end, during the end of the 70s or beginning of the 80s, and it was related to a huge international scandal that of course was kept quiet, and that many people around the world were punished, especially in Israel, and they, for cruel reason, they think that I should be blamed for that. And I should not have any sexual relationship, and I should cut my penis, and all sorts of ridiculous things that he tried to force me to do with all sorts of the psychological texts, which is something unbelievably cool. It never happened, of course, but it's just to say what kind of people we were dealing with. So although I understood that it's not, it took me time, but of course this all took me a lot of time. And I actually documented it the best way that I can, because I always wanted to keep everything as documented as possible. So it was a very large journey that's still happening. But right from its start, which it started, again, during the first half of the year 2019, when I worked in MyHeritage, I understood that I am subjected to never-ending tests, and that it can only, this bizarre thing can only be explained by the fact that it's something with my nature, because it cannot be something with my behavior, because my behavior was so, straight. So it's something with my nature. They see my nature as different from them, and that the people that actually conduct the test can only be the Israeli intelligence, and that they want me to fail the test, they want to paint me as bad as possible, and that the audience are intelligence services from other places, specifically United States and United Kingdom, but perhaps other as well. And the fact that they actually participate in this cruelty, and they actually buy the lies, and they, at least partly, I mean, it was certain to me that they indeed buy the lies, because otherwise, why this continues for so many years? And I understood that they buy the lies, they buy those horrible, I mean, smears and paintings of me that are not related to reality in any way. It's not just an exaggeration or like small lies. It was painting me in a completely different way than I actually am. I understood that it's because they want to believe it, that they are invested in those lies because of reasons that I didn't understand then, but I understand more today. It's part of their evil ways, and the world will be punished for it. I'll say it again. There will not be a living soul in Israel. This country is dead. The historical land of Israel is dead. There will be no human being living in here. Only worms, and you've already seen the worms. It's not a joke, and it's not a sci-fi reference to Dune. You've seen the worms. They will be the inhabitants of the historical land of Israel for thousands of years. This is a fact, and it's already on the way. The Kinneret will dry. The aquifers will be contaminated. They already are contaminated, but the process of contamination of the aquifers, which are actually the main source of water in Israel, because the Kinneret is actually not that important for water as many people think, because the aquifers are actually bigger, and actually there are also, I mean, desalinization factories, but they don't really work because they consume a lot of energy in Israel. That, I mean, depends on other states for energy. So in any case, there will be no water in Israel. There will be worms, not carbon worms, not biological worms as you understand them, but living worms, and they are already here. They are not made of carbon. They are immune to alcohol, immune to soap, immune to hydrogen peroxide, immune to iodine solution. They not only immune to them, they actually swim in them they feel fine. And this was documented many times in videos that you've seen in this channel. They are on the way. They will replace the humans in Israel. There will be only worms, alien worms, xenoworms. But the other places in this world will be punished. They will be punished because they sinned greatly. They knew of my torture. They participated in this torture. They were invested in this torture. And the torture is, I mean, never stopped. I mean, it's not something that belonged to the past. It's still ongoing, and it couldn't have taken place without the support of people in the strong, like the rich and strong countries like the United States and the United Kingdom, but not only them. That's it for now.